Levi Lascsak, welcome to the Real Build. How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good. Happy to have you on the show. Talk about some social media, some marketing, some YouTube. You are doing some big things in the YouTube space, so I definitely checked you out and your kind of background, your past, but obviously the audience doesn't know it. So let's get into a little bit. Who is Levi? Let's talk about you, where you started, where you came from. So who is Levi Lascsak?
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is that I just got into real estate about 2 years ago. I would say residential licensed real estate. I mean, I've had a little bit of a background of doing some fix and flips and some rentals here and there, but I was more like a part-time investor. There was nothing serious or nothing that I could quit my day job over. But yeah, it was always kind of like a little hobby. I never really wanted to be a real estate agent. So that was the funny thing. And of course, nothing against real estate agents, but yeah, I had a financial services business for the last 5 years, about from 2014, 2015, leading up to 2020. And I worked with Dallas ISD school teachers. And so I worked with teachers on retirement planning, and I had a teacher schedule, but I had like 5 times the teacher's income. So it was really great because I had summers off, 2 weeks off for Christmas, every 4-day weekend you could imagine, a week off for Thanksgiving. And really I was doing quite well, traveled. I went to 24 countries in the last 3 years leading up to 2020. And then April of 2020, everything shut down, including the schools. So, 2019 was my best financial year ever. 2020, the first quarter, was my best financial quarter. So I was on pace to blow out 2019. So I thought, man, I was riding high. I had like 5 trips already booked for 2020. And I was excited. I was living life, having a good time. And then it just came to a screeching halt because the world shut down, the school shut down, and then the next thing I know, I'm like, okay, well, when is this all going to come back? No, I met with teachers on campuses, so I went to schools to talk with them, and there was no end in sight there, right? And nobody was thinking about investing in retirement. They were actually starting to call me about pulling money out of their retirement, to get access to funds. And so, I tried to do some Zoom calls. Zoom wasn't even really a thing almost back then, it seems like. And so people, there was a real struggle, especially for teachers. And I just thought, man, this is not going to play out very well. Plus, again, I had no clue when anything was going to open back up at that time. So over the summer of 2020, I was just sitting there. And plus I was 41 years old at the time. And I was like, well, how do I start over without starting over? Because this is not a point in my life where I want to be in that position. So I had to just sit back and really evaluate things and ask myself, what is it that I really want to do? And what can I transition to? And how do I pivot? And I've got a good friend. I've actually got a lot of good friends that were real estate agents. One in particular, a guy named Michael Reese. He's actually been trying to get me in real estate for 20 years. He got licensed in 2002 and I always thought I would be a good real estate agent. But again, I just wasn't attracted to that lifestyle. I mean, nothing wrong with it, of course, and clearly I'm now, but I was just, what I pictured was the cold caller and the door knocker and the person that shaked hands and kissed babies, kind of that, the person that sent out postcards. And again, I know all of those things are very effective. I just never really saw myself doing that. Michael like plastered a Hummer, he postcarded the whole, Dallas area. It was like his face all over the place. And I was kind of like, that's really not me, And so that's what I thought a real estate agent did. So I just never did that. But, over 2020, I started to watch real estate grow, probably one of the only industries other than toilet paper that started to, really take off during 2020, especially during the summer. So as I saw real estate start to grow, Michael was still coming at me going, hey, man, now's the best time to get into real estate. And so I just had to think and go, okay, well, if I'm actually going to get into real estate, I don't want to do things traditionally. Plus, in the middle of, the summer of 2020, things were still on edge. I mean, I'm in Texas. Luckily, we were a lot more open-minded than a lot of places. So I couldn't imagine if I was somewhere else. But, we opened up a lot earlier than most places. So, but still, networking events, social gatherings, those types of things weren't really going on. So I had to think, okay, well, if I do make the move into becoming an agent, is there a way to attract business? Can I bring people to me? Is there a way to market effectively that I could build a brand and, try to find a gap in the market? That was really what I was looking for. I was like, is there a gap in the market? Because otherwise I'm going to be competing with 10, 20, 30, 40-year-old agents, or been in the business for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And so that's what I started to just think differently. And I didn't just transition into real estate and become an agent automatically. I thought, well, let me see if I can figure out a plan. I think most people get into real estate and then they try to figure out how it works, and I thought, well, let me see if I can figure out a plan first. And that would incentivize me or motivate me more to getting a license if I actually thought I had a path to follow versus, okay, yeah, I'll get licensed and see what happens. So that's what I did. I started to research over the summer of 2020. I took my time. I was patient. And, fortunately for me, I was in a financial position that I was able to do that. So, that's what I did. But, and I thought, okay, well, social media is probably going to be the way to do this with the lowest barrier of entry and the lowest cost. Right. And so, but which platform? I didn't want to make the mistake. I think that's a huge issue when agents get into the business and everybody tells them, hey, you have to be everywhere, get on every platform, open up a Facebook business account and your Facebook account and tell everybody you're an agent, and open Instagram and TikTok. And I think what happens is they end up putting 20% effort across 5 different platforms and never truly understand one of them, at all. So I understood that starting out too. So I thought, okay, well, I want to choose one platform. I figured social media would be the play, but which platform? And that I wasn't sure. I was also, like I said, 41. I had never really paid attention to social media at all. I had like 200 followers on Instagram. I had, like a couple of hundred friends on Facebook. It was just something I was never interested in. And I think a lot of 40-year-olds and above, are kind of in my same position. We have that love-hate relationship with social media because we didn't grow up with it in high school or college. And it came around in our late 20s, maybe early 30s. And we just thought it was people bragging and posting about their lunch and stupid cat videos, right? So I just never put any merit into social media. Plus, I'd always done traditional sales, meeting people face to face. It was just like meeting the teachers. I went to the school, sat down one-on-one with them, talked to them about their future and retirement and getting them set up on accounts. So I just knew I wanted to do things differently. I wasn't excited about social media, again, because I just never liked it in the first place, but I knew I was going to have to change if I wanted something to change. So I actually looked at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok first. That's where everybody was telling me to start out, especially TikTok. Like in 2020, every agent was waking up, it seemed like, with 10,000 followers. So they're like, oh man, you got to be on TikTok. But I didn't really see a tremendous amount of business. I knew people were doing some transactions from those platforms. I just didn't see it, overwhelming, taking over their business or doing a lot of it. So, but I researched them. I went down those rabbit holes of those platforms first, but they didn't really fit my personality. It was kind of like, I don't know, just again, maybe because I was never really active on them in the first place. I didn't understand them, but I looked at them and I just thought, but still doesn't seem like a good fit for me. I saw a lot of seasoned agents, that have been in the business 5, 10, 15 years. I saw them, telling stories about their experiences and also educating people on buying and selling processes, but I hadn't even sold a home yet. So I thought, well, that's not really me. I don't have any of that information to relay. I mean, I could go online and read about an FHA loan and regurgitate that information on a video, but that just didn't really seem authentic to me. Mm-hmm. So I just thought, okay, I don't know if that's it. But YouTube actually was my last choice. But what I started to really figure out, and I bought a YouTube book, YouTube Secrets, by the way. I bought YouTube Secrets, and I just thought, I'm going to check out this book, read it. And I started reading it, and that's where I really started to understand YouTube's a search engine, not a social media platform. And that there's a lot of data and analytics and things that you can do. It just seemed like there's a much more of a clear path through YouTube because it's owned by Google they put so much in their back end that you could actually build out a plan or start to understand like when to post, what to post, how to post it, how to film videos. There was so much information on it. Plus, what I realized too is, there's people searching about real estate on YouTube, and when you think about it, not a lot of people say, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on Facebook and see what's on the market. Hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on Instagram and see if we can find an agent posting really cool market reports. Or, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on TikTok and see if we can find the best dancing real estate agent. So as I started to think about that, I was like, oh, yeah, those platforms are not really designed where people are going to look for information on real estate. They're going there for mostly entertainment or to get their mind off of the real world, to escape. And YouTube is completely opposite. YouTube is an education and a information and entertainment platform. It's a search engine, but it's the number 2 search engine behind Google. And people are actually searching what's the cost of living, what's the pros and cons, what's the top 5 neighborhoods, what's the best suburbs of Dallas. And you can find that, you can actually look that up and see the search volume and what people are looking for. And so I was like, well, shoot, if people are doing that, all I got to do is make videos. And what I realized too was, wait a second, I've lived in Dallas for 20 years. Do I know anything about an FHA loan? No, but I know about Dallas, and I know about all the suburbs, and I know about the neighborhoods, and I know about things to do and places to eat. And if people are actually searching that versus, how to get an FHA loan, which I think that's where a lot of agents make mistakes too, is they on YouTube, they'll make a lot of that content, but that's not usually where people start. People usually don't say, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's start researching the different loan types. They usually start saying, hey, it's time to buy a house. Let's find a good school district. Let's find a good area with cool things to do. Let's find something close to downtown. Let's find, something that's safe. Those are the things that they usually start looking at, and they search that. And then the cool thing is YouTube tells you what the search volume is. And so I'm like, okay, well, if safety is one of the highest search terms, based on this suburb, Frisco, Texas, well, I can make a video about safety in Frisco, Texas. And that's something, I can talk about because I've been there. I go there and play and hang out and have fun. And I've been to this neighborhood and that suburb and everything else. So then I could just really talk about my experience of living here versus trying to educate people on the buying and selling process, which again, I didn't have experience doing that yet. So to me, it felt a lot better and more of a fit for me that I was like, oh, I can talk about Dallas all day long. And that's what I started to build out a business plan from there and really try to, nail all that down and write it out and figure out, okay, what's the content I want to shoot? How do I shoot it? When do I publish it? How often do I publish? And again, based on all the information out there, I believe you can hyperlearn any subject in 60 days. So therefore, I was able to, really dig in. And it took me about 60 days to just read. I read about 8 different YouTube marketing books. I watched probably 1,000 YouTube videos, and I just understood the platform. And then I realized, how do I apply it to real estate? And so from there, that's where I was able to really kind of build out a business plan and really have a much more clear direction. I wouldn't have known at the time if it was clear or not, but I thought I had a pretty good idea and a good grasp on what I wanted to do. And that was it. And so I wrote that out. I had a good plan. Took me 60 days to really study all that. I took 1 month to film because I filmed a month's worth of content in advance first, because I understood consistency was key. And I didn't want to just film one video and then publish it and then, disappear or, get sidetracked. So I was like, all right, well, let me film, 10, 12 videos first. That way, whenever I publish one, I've already got 3-4 weeks of content ready to go. And that allows me time to start making the next month's worth of content. So that's all kind of how it played out and started. And that's what really kind of got me on the path. And then I was able to release the first video on December 5th of 2020. And from there, I did not sell a single home in Q1 of 2021. And right around March, I met Travis Plum, my business partner, and we started to kind of work together. I started to have leads come in at that time. And then from April, we closed our first 2 transactions.
Nice.
In April of 2021. Yeah. And then the last 9 months of 2021, at the end of our first year, because Travis just got licensed in December of 2020 as well, then we closed 64 transactions right at 33.5 million in volume, is just at $1,007,000 in commissions in the last 9 months of 2021.
I mean, very impressive right here. Obviously, there's a lot to take in. Heck of a background, man, and it's amazing how the research and the work you actually put into it too. That's the thing. Like you didn't just say, "Hey, I'm going to post all over social media, see what works best," or whatever. You planned this too. You came up with a business plan. You researched it. And then you mass produced videos and content, but the authenticity of yourself and your stuff too. It's you. You're not just taking, and that's one thing that stood out to me, because so many people out there, realtors, contractors, whatever, whoever's trying to do content in general, mortgage professionals, they're not themselves. And people can see through the BS, and they see right through it. And you, right off the bat, you said that was one of the most important things, is being authentic, being yourself, not just talking about some random thing that you researched on Google that every other realtor is doing. You're hitting the topics, but you're going to your favorite places and talking about it because you had experience in those places too, instead of just being like, okay, what's around the area? Okay, let me make a list of 10 things and then talk about it. You're bringing more enthusiasm to these videos as well, which is causing the people to stay in tune with you, which is very impressive in your background and all that, and how much planning you put into this. I want to talk about too, like, obviously, the video is important. It's been a huge part of my business too. I mean, on the construction side, I do a ton of video, and it's been a massive thing for us. I get it all the time with customers that walk in. They're like, "Hey, I watched your YouTube video on this." I need to get better at YouTube, because I'll be honest with you, I'm on all the channels. I'm doing Facebook, I'm doing Instagram, I'm doing YouTube, or trying to add into YouTube too. It's not as easy to get everything uploaded as the other ones, but I mean, it's so important to do. And 4 years ago with my journey with it too, I figured that out. I was like, okay, I'm going to go all in, show what I do. And now people see what we do as custom home builders. They see what I do as a real estate broker as well. Let's talk about the importance of it, and how important video is, especially in the world today too. And then I kind of want to get into, shift into kind of the way the economy is and doing video with that, because we all know where that's going, but we'll start with the importance of video.
I think video is the most important thing you can do in your business. And that's why, we coined the term passive prospecting. And that's what I love most about it, is because I've been in sales for 20 plus years, love sales, hated prospecting. I always felt like I spent 90%. Yeah, I felt like I spent 90% of my time prospecting, and 10% of the time actually having conversations with people that were willing to talk to me, right? Which was the fun part. I just never really enjoyed prospecting. And so for me, it's the best use of your time, because it's so scalable, and the scalability can far outpace anything you can do. You'll never be able to make enough phone calls or cold calls or door knocks or send out postcards. I mean, in the amount of reach you can get in one video. And if you have 10, 30, or 50 videos, it just compounds astronomically. I was just looking at numbers from our channel for 2022. Our channel has watched 171,724 hours. You divide that by 24 hours in a day, that's equivalent to 19.6 years. So our channel in 1 year prospected for us 19.6 years worth of time. You could not afford an ISA team that much. You couldn't afford that many postcards. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Plus, you're out there, you're on the job site, you're building homes, you're running community, everything you're doing, it allows you to do more of that stuff. You don't have to worry about blocking 1, 2, or 3 hours a day just for prospecting. And that is very time consuming in an agent's life. Now, I'm not saying you cut that stuff out altogether, but this is the scalability. I mean, one of our videos right now is about to break 100,000 views. Just one of them. And it's been watched well over 10,000 hours. And it only took me 30 minutes to make. And so if you divide that, the time it's been watched by the time it took me to make, I mean, it's a profit. You think about it that way, over, let's just say 10,000 hours took me 30 minutes. That means I profited 9,995 hours on that one video. So not only are you getting a profit of your time, but I love saying it also compounds your time, because that's the thing, is that anytime we look at, everybody loves compound interest. They love compounding money. And if you invest in anything, you invest in stocks, real estate, crypto, whatever it is, your number one question is probably, what's the return of my investment? So if we're going to invest our time into something, projects, and especially social media, we should be asking, well, what's the return of my time on this? Mm-hmm. Not just the monetary return, but what's the return of my time? So because one video that took me 30 minutes to make, not only did I profit that time, but that's really a compound investment, because I invested 30 minutes. It gave me back 10,000 hours. That in itself is why video is so important, because I don't know anything else you can do in your business that can not just give you the time component back, but the monetary component will come with it.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you just said there too, because I mean, and what people need to understand, I started thinking about this too, is it is going to take time to, have some leverage, have some traction with video too, because a lot of people, they give up. They give up after the first one they do. They're like, oh, this didn't get viewed. Why am I wasting my time doing it? Or they do a few of them, or they don't launch one at all because they're afraid of what people think, so on. That's one of the biggest reasons, they're like, what's somebody going to think? I'm going to get made fun of. Which most of the time you're not going to, people are going to be impressed. Yeah. They got to see what you're doing, so on too. You just got to get over that hill too. And one thing I wanted to get into a little bit more too is, where does somebody start with video? Obviously, you got the ideas rolling. And once again, I commend you for all the research you did. It is freaking awesome. And people should be doing that. They should be coming up with a plan to what they want to do. So where would they start though? What videos should they be doing? Whether they're realtors, contractors, mortgage guys, and girls, and designers, where should they start to kind of gain traction and get their video going with YouTube?
Yeah, I would look at the search volume in their area, because I could say what worked for us, but everybody lives in a different city in a different state. So yep. I would look at the search volume on YouTube for different topics. First of all, I always look at suburbs first. So which suburbs have the most search volume? Mm-hmm. And it can be drastically different. So your favorite suburb, or the one you like the most, or maybe the one you live in, may not be the most popular. So a lot of people may want to default to creating content in that area first because they like it, or they feel like they know it best. But the reality is that it could be really low on the list, and you're going to get a lot more traction sooner by finding the highest search volume of that suburb or neighborhood around you. Then if you start there, it's very simple. Any type of vlog tour, you go out and about in the neighborhood, actually show people around. They really love those types of videos. You can do pros and cons of that area. That's very simple. People do love to know the good and the bad of what's going on in that suburb or that neighborhood. You could do top 5 neighborhoods in a suburb, or top 6 neighborhoods, or top 7, whatever the case may be. And the thing is with that, you don't have to worry about steering or anything, as long as you have something to reference. Now that is maybe you look up an article or something online, or a blog post, and there you could easily probably look at your suburb right now and Google, top 5 neighborhoods in my suburb, and you'll probably find a blog post on it. And then you can reference that. So that way, agents, you don't want to say, okay, well, this is the absolute best neighborhood, this is where you have to live. You don't want to get in trouble for that, but you can say, hey, I can make a video and say, I was just, reading a recent article on Wallet Hub or Forbes or whatever, the Dallas Morning News. And they're stating these are the top 5 neighborhoods of Frisco, Texas. And we're going to start with number 5. And then you could, give some of the stats and data maybe that they have, or you pull your own stats and data. And then you could, at the end say, now, in my opinion, I love this area. And I think it'd be a good fit for most people. And so that way, whenever you're talking about areas like that, or if you're doing a list video, which a lot of people love, list videos, top 5 this, top 6 that, top 7 this, then it just makes something very easy to do in there. And then also map videos. I mean, it's surprising, but we'll get on a simple screen share and just walk people through a map. Now, anybody can look at a map online, of course, but they don't get your stories and your perspective and your experiences. And so, Google says it's 20 minutes to the airport, but is it really 20 minutes? You might want to tell them, well, I wouldn't go this route. There's always traffic, or it's really, it's really messed up. It's under construction right now. I'd go this way. And you just kind of show them things on the map that they just would never understand looking at it on their own. And then you could do, cost of living. You could do, school districts. I mean, there's so much information out there that you could do on each topic, but I would base it off search results, because that's going to help you get found sooner rather than later. And what I always mention to people whenever they're starting out is that just optimize for the algorithm in the beginning. And then as you develop an audience, you can optimize for the audience, which means, in the beginning, you have no audience. Nobody knows who you are on YouTube. So it's easier to create content that people are already searching for. And then once you develop an audience and you develop a following, you'll start to know your audience and understand them a lot better and know what they're looking for. And so then you'll be able to create more content that is more personable and things that will do well with them. And so it's just simple research, and taking some time before you publish.
Well, let's go into time, because we know the most common thing people seem at times our most valuable asset, obviously. But what we always hear with video is, I don't have time for video. So, and I personally don't think, I just think that's kind of an excuse, because people can make time, figure it out, or, have other resources that can help them with editing and so on, Fiverr to name, and so on. There's a lot of resources out there too. But obviously there's busy agents out there. There's busy contractors out there. People have families, so on too. How can somebody produce more content, longer form content for YouTube with little time? And I know you're a busy guy too, so this is going to be a great answer from you. So I can't wait to hear it. So,
yeah. Well, if you don't have time to make video, that's exactly why you should make video, because clearly your time is not leveraged properly. And I think everybody loves the concept of the 4-hour work week. Well, video is really like the 2-hour work week. I mean, video is the least amount of time I spend on my business. The funny thing is, people look at myself and they're like, they think I make content 40 hours a week or 80 hours a week. They look at it as it's my full-time job. And it's like, no, actually it's the smallest fraction of my business. Now it gives me the biggest return. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the return. And so therefore you think that it actually takes a lot of work. But making a video, again, I'm at the proficiency level now that I could do a video in one take. I mean, it's just not really, I know how to start and stop. And even if I blah, 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 mispronounce a word, I'll just stop, pause, and then start over again, where most people will be like, oh my God, okay, let me get, okay, all right, and they, so anything in the beginning is going to be more difficult. Anything in the beginning is going to be a little more awkward. Anything in the beginning is always a little out of place. It's the time on task over time is what makes you proficient at somebody. I mean, when you studied for your real estate license, did you think you were ever going to get a real estate license? You were studying for that thing going, holy crap, this is a bunch of garbage and I'm never going to use this. And do I really need to know the square angle and footage of an acre? I don't know. It's like you're going, what does it really matter? And you got all these books and you're getting tested. And it's very, and the next thing you know, you have a license and you're like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. And then you start to write your first contract, or actually you start to show a home, and then you go to a home and you're like, okay, how do I work this lockbox? What do I use this app? I got to do this. And what do? You work through that. And then you write a contract. You get a contract and you're like, holy cow, it's 15 pages with 7 addendums that I have to attach and proof of funds and, and it's overwhelming. But you stuck through that. And then guess what? You probably write contracts in your sleep right now. So you become more proficient. You probably write a contract in 5 minutes versus 2 hours it took you before. So, does it take a little bit more time in the beginning? Sure. But as you build that muscle memory, it gets easier. And again, I think that it's the least amount of time you will end up spending on your business. It'll give you the biggest return. And if you have a problem with your family or your spouse who is always on your case because you work too much and you're not present, especially when you go on vacation or on the weekends, well, I think video is the biggest favor you can do for them and yourself. Because when I'm gone on vacation or at a conference, I still have videos publishing. The channel is still prospecting for me. The phone is still ringing. It doesn't stop just because I go out of town. My business doesn't stop. I could take 2 weeks off. I could take 4 weeks off right now. It doesn't matter. The prospecting, the videos are still working. People are still viewing, still watching, still calling. And we have systems and processes in place, right? We've got people to answer the phones. We've got agents that can help the people. So I'm not worried about it. I mean, in 2022, I went to 25 conferences, at least 2 per month. And our business, I said our first year we did 33.5 million. In 2022, we did 85.2 million from YouTube. So it tripled. The business tripled. And I took 2 trips a month going to conferences. Half of those we were speaking at, and the other half I was there to learn and to network and to, meet more people and things like that. But there's no way. I mean, tell me, there's agents that'll be like, well, I haven't taken a vacation in 3 years, and why? Because they're scared of the moment they walk away, their business will stop, and their prospecting will stop and everything will. And that's just the beautiful thing about video is it keeps working for you. And so for me, it's the best peace of mind, but it's also the biggest return of your time.
Love it. 100% agree with you too. I want to go into consistency with it too. How often should somebody be focusing on posting video to YouTube platform like YouTube, or how long should the videos be, stuff like that? Because I mean, I'm figuring out too with myself. Like I just answered a comment today on one of my YouTube videos on about stucco siding and I posted that video probably 6 months ago. So there's still traction coming on that video. Yep. So it's exactly what you said too. And it's interesting to me. And, I'm starting to think, okay, maybe with myself, stop focusing so much on Instagram and Facebook and shift over to YouTube more too, even on the construction end of things. So as far as consistency with YouTube too, what do you recommend? 1 video, 2 videos a week? Because this goes back into the time thing, not as far as myself, but for somebody else, like saying, I don't have time to post 5 times a week, So what do you recommend when it comes to that?
I think it depends. It depends on your research. And so, and what's going on in your market, are there other people posting with what you're talking about or doing anything like that? So I would say, one video a week is the absolute minimum, but also how fast do you want to grow? With more content, you're likely going to grow faster. And, is there agents in your market publishing videos? And if they are, how many videos are they publishing? Do you want to catch them or possibly pass them up? And so those are the things that, like, I understood that before I started because of the amount of research I did. So I would go on YouTube and Google your city, search your city on YouTube as well and see what other agents are in the market, possibly doing that. Because as of right now, there's probably at least one in every market. Now, for me, there's 4 or 5 that had started on YouTube, were established on YouTube when I started. But you got to think about that, like 5 agents in Dallas on YouTube, and people will look at that and say, "Well, YouTube's saturated. There's no room left." And it's like, those 5 agents cannot even come close to capturing the market in Dallas, especially on YouTube. I mean, you're talking about some of the suburbs in Dallas have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of searches per month. And you're telling me 4 agents or that's it? It's saturated. It's over. It's just not the case. Does HGTV come out with a new real estate show every year? Or do they say, I think we've got enough real estate shows. Let's come out with a cooking show. No, they come out with more and more real estate shows because they know content is king. They know different personalities connect with a more of an audience. And so they're trying to capture the whole market. Same thing on YouTube. the cool thing is that the people that don't like me won't call me. So I never really know. There's zero rejection. And the people that like me call me. And guess what? Whenever they call, they've already made the decision they want to work with us. And so there's really no selling on our part either. But I think building homes is a lot easier to do on YouTube than it would be any other platform. And what I would be doing is every time I'm out on the site or at a particular house, I'd be creating series, and I'd be walking people through the construction and showing them, piece by piece, here we are in week 1 of the construction. Here we are in week 2 of the construction. Here we are in week 3. This is what we're looking at. This is what we did. This is what we did differently. We had to go back and change this, and so just something like that. Think about that. That would take you 10 to 15 minutes once a week. If you're going to be on the job site anyways, inspecting or looking at or checking work or readjusting, why not stop and just say, you know what, I'm going to give an update on my phone? Because basically what you're doing is you're giving yourself an update, right? You're going and checking on that property. You're making sure everything's going. You're looking for specific things. You're checking on certain things. But if you don't educate people on on what you're doing, then they'll never know you're doing that. And plus, what that allows people to do is they say, hey, you know what, this builder, man, I really, he's so transparent. He's really, he actually talked last week about a major mistake they made in building this house, but they caught it, fixed it, everything else. And they're going, if I want to get my house built, this is the person I want to do it with. Because why? They're developing a relationship with you as well. So they're going to feel like they know you. And I would be doing that with every single house, wherever I'm building, and whether I'm building custom. I mean, if you're building custom, even better, because then every home is going to be really different. If you're in a community and a lot of the home and you have 5 different floor plans, well, then I think you'll have to get a little creative after that. But you never know. You could make 5 different videos on the same floor plan on 5 different homes, and the building process is probably going to go differently in every single one of them. So, and that could be based on labor shortages, weather, I mean, who knows? All of these things could pop up, but you're really just documenting that process versus creating it. And so you're there on site anyways. I would assume you visit homes at least once a week to check in on them personally. And therefore it's just hanging out an extra 10 minutes to make a video. And I don't think anybody could really tell me they don't have time to do that. So it's just a matter of, doing it.
And it's like making it a habit to do it, because, when you're out there, sometimes you don't think about that. Like I've done series on how it's built, so on too, and where I had somebody just filming me and actually doing it, going from step to step or stage to stage. But I like what you're saying better, because it's like, doing it weekly. And even if there's not much done to the house, still talking about maybe a specific change or something that got messed up, or a delay on appliances, or just saying how you're feeling for that day and kind of making it a personal blog about it too is awesome too, which I need to implement more, to be honest with you as well. And just like going into like other businesses too, like a day in the life of an interior designer, or a day in the life of a mortgage professional, and what they have to actually go through. People want to see that too. And, if I'm hiring a mortgage professional to, buy some real estate, it's like, you get personal with somebody through video. And it's like you said too, I say it all the time on this show. People watch my videos. They don't like me, they're not going to build a house with me. They don't like me, they're not going to buy a house with me as a broker. They don't, it kind of helps you not waste that time, because time is our most valuable asset too. So I love what you said there, as far as like, getting more personal with video, and also just people get to know who you really are in the end of things as well too. So I love that. And as far as, one thing I wanted to touch on before I get into some personal questions to wrap this up is the economy now too. And one thing is, a lot of people are pulling back. There's a lot of people like, oh, the economy, it's going to crash, this and that, which when that usually happens, a lot of people pull back. Agents aren't selling houses overnight and like that, putting a sign in the yard and the house sells or gets in a bidding war. Things are normalizing as far as markets too, and they're having to put in a little bit more legwork too. So as far as the economy and stuff like that and going in that shift, obviously, while people are pulling back, we go all in. That's my motto too, keep producing more content, but a lot of people aren't. Is there specific videos they should be doing about the economy? You see all the doom and gloom videos out there. To be honest, I hate those personally, because everybody's doing them now. When's the market going to crash? When's this? You see all the YouTube videos, and it's just, what should people be doing in that aspect of things?
Yeah, I made the decision not to go that route, to stay positive, to stay the course, to just continually educate people on suburbs and neighborhoods, which is what we do. So I think the most visible agent's going to win in this market. And people buy and sell homes every single day in up markets, down markets, sideways markets, interest rates high, interest rates low. People are buying. I mean, we had a listing just this last week and we sold it in 2 days. We priced it correctly. We actually got 10,000 over asking price and sold it in 2 days because first of all, we made a YouTube video on it and we got several calls just from that. But then we hosted a very strategic open house. I was just actually last weekend as well filming 3 model homes. We work with some builders and film some custom model homes and other communities. I was shocked by one home in particular. We could barely film because there was 5 different families coming in and out of there. And I asked them all, "Hey, do you have an agent?" And they said no. Every single one of them. And they were just going straight to the builder. And I'm just going, there's people out there unrepresented. Why? Because they don't know who to call, I mean, and so if you're not getting found, then nobody's going to work with you. If you're not out there in some capacity, getting known in some sort of way, you're not going to have business, unless you're an extremely good networker and you have, a huge referral system. That's, it's a little bit of story, but normally those people have been in the business for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they don't care about this market anyways because of their referral system. But, if you're new or starting out, or, your business was built one way and now it's taken a dump, then you better be visible. And maybe that's not on video. If you're a cold caller, you're going to need to make more cold calls. If you're a door knocker, you're going to have to knock on more doors. So you're going to have to just get in front of more people and find the people that are looking in this market. Because again, people buy and sell homes every day and they're doing it right now. It's just a matter of whether they work with you or not.
Love it, man. Love it. This has been awesome. Before we wrap this up, I want to get into some personal questions with you because this is one of my favorite parts of the show here. One of my favorite questions. I always get great answers on this question, so no pressure. What about you personally? What lessons have you learned throughout your journey that we should all apply to our own business or our own lives that can help us grow?
I mean, don't quit. Be a sponge, be the best student, and just continually learn. I mean, look for solutions. And hyper learn something. I mean, learn something, go all in. I would think really focus on one thing. A lot of people, that saying, people love to say, well, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Well, it probably took 1 stream of income to get that person to $1 million. Then they branched off into other businesses, right? It's a lot easier, just like I did with YouTube. I focused solely on YouTube and learned that and tried to master that. And really, I still have not even focused on other platforms because we're trying to go deeper and deeper and deeper into YouTube. And the second I go, okay, let's start up an Instagram plan, it's going to shift a fraction of my focus. Even if it's 10 or 20%, I'm not ready to do that yet. So I think, just be a sponge, look for solutions, learn, study, and don't quit. Like I said earlier, time on task over time. You got to pick that thing. And if you stick with it, and I think I know you can be successful. So it's just a matter of continually working on it, getting better, and looking for new ways to improve and grow from there. So I just keep going is really what it comes down to.
Like I said, I always get good answers, and that is a great answer on that one too, because I agree with you. There's so many people out there that kind of just they start somewhere, but then they start thinking they should go here, and then they get distracted from that one thing that can make them that money to be able to go to these other avenues and so on. So love it, man. Thank you for that. And another question most people ask about your past. Let's hear about your future. So where will we see Levi 10, 15, 20 years from now?
I just wrote out a 20-year vision. So, the thing is that I could probably just read that to you if you really want to get that deep.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let me see. So the 20-year vision is, let me bring this up real quick. So it says, we, and I'm including myself and Travis, I'm projecting that we'll still be in business together, own the #1 passive prospecting, coaching, and consulting agency for Fortune 500 companies, entrepreneurs, and real estate agents in the world. Our book, Passive Prospecting, which we do have a book coming out probably next month, which is really cool. I'm super excited about the book, Passive Prospecting, where we lay all of this out. But I say our book, Passive Prospecting, is in the top 10 business books of all time for the last 19 years in a row. Our extended book series and collaborations, such as Passive Prospecting for Real Estate Agents, co-authored with, and I mentioned a coach name here that I look to work with, Passive Prospecting for Financial Advisors, co-authored with somebody else, are consistently in the top 10 for real estate and finance. The Passive Prospecting Digital Course is the #1 course for business owners to scale their company online through video. And our agency has thousands of clients generating millions in recurring monthly revenue. Our company is valued at $250 million with an annual revenue of $50 million. And and then we own the #1 real estate channel in Dallas that still produces $100 million plus in annual volume and is handled by a CEO, COO, and content contributed by the team. So I'm removing myself, from the channel. And then I get into, we own 20,000+ doors in several multifamily projects and restore and flip historic homes in the Dallas area. Our favorite real estate project is a full-service resort we own in Belize, and is home to our annual Passive Prospecting Mastermind for the top 50 entrepreneurs. And we're highly sought after keynote speakers, commanding fees up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And our digital courses, coaching, mastermind events train thousands of entrepreneurs every year to grow and scale their business through video. So I'm kind of paraphrasing some of these things for you, but so anyways, and I talk about partnerships and collaborations with some other very high-end people. And then I kind of get into, family, what does my family look like as well? Healthy, happy, having a good time. So yeah, that's, and like I said, I kind of paraphrase that for you there, but that's the main vision, where we plan to be.
I love it, brother. And you just right there, law of attraction, you just put it out there too. So now you can go back and listen to this and hear it again too. And, in the future, I have no doubt within the next 20 years, you're going to accomplish all that stuff. So you're killing it now, man. So I commend you on it. Last question, what this show's all about. What exactly do people need to look for when hiring a passive prospecting service like yourself? And why should they choose Levi and Passive Prospecting as their service of choice?
Yeah, well, we've done it, so that's first and foremost. I mean, you'll find several people out there teaching YouTube right now, but I would just look at, have they actually built, if you want to learn from as a real estate agent, have they built a real estate agent business through YouTube versus, teaching it. So that would be one thing. We've actually done it. We're still doing it. We're still producing. We still have a team in place. So we're still active in the production side of it. And so therefore I'm able to tweak, for our course that we built out. The course is really my business plan, and now my business plan when I started out was really just scribbles on a paper, it was really just kind of an outline. But whenever I put together the course, it is completely detailed step-by-step process because #1, I wanted to pass that along to our team. I didn't want to, as we grew our team, I didn't want to teach our team members individually everything about YouTube. So I built everything out in a digital format from there. And then, from there, other people started asking about it. Other people started hearing from our success. So So then, that's why we ended up, attaching a service and to that. And so people, agents would go through the course and then they would get stuck. They would get stuck trying to find an editor or, somebody to do their SEO and those types of things. And so then we built out an agency, a done for you video editing agency, to where now you just film the content, you send the content to us, we edit it, we optimize it, we do the SEO, we do the tags, titles, descriptions, hashtags, make the thumbnail, and even publish it on you. It's full turnkey. And that, so everything kind of came out of necessity to help other people. And, again, and I'm able to tweak that because I'm still creating content, still working with the producing team. So as I learn, I can tweak, courses and modules and things in there. And we don't charge people for that. It's like we give them lifetime access. So any updates I do, they get access to that. And so I think it's a great opportunity and it saves you that 60 days, because it took me 60 days to learn. The coursework is about 10 hours or so. You can go through it in 10 hours, which is a humongous time saver versus trying to piece all this stuff together. But if you're super cheap, you can go out there and find all the information on YouTube, but you have to piece it together. It's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. So, that's what I like about the course is this is a very easy to follow format. And then we have our book coming out next month in February, Passive Prospecting. And that I detailed that as much as possible as I could in a book. I think you have a distinct advantage going through a digital course because it's a video and I'm walking you through everything step by step. In a book, I was able, I play screenshots. I took everything from our experience and from our channel. So you see the actual screenshots and everything back there. But it, and I think somebody will be able to buy that book for $20 and build a business out of it. Now, some people will need more than that. And so it'll be a natural progression for them to probably, get the course to go along with it, but it'll be enough for people to do some damage. And so, we detailed that out and I think that's a steal giving it away in that book, for $20, but it's 15 chapters, over 40,000 words. I mean, it's a real book. This is not like a little pamphlet,
Mm-hmm.
And we're working with a legit publisher, the same publisher actually that published YouTube Secrets, for Sean Cannell and Benji Travis, which we've been fortunate to develop a relationship with them. And so I was able to work with their publisher as well. And so, we're doing it we're doing it correctly. And so I think I'm really excited about it. It's a super cool project. And I think it will break the mold and the mindset for people to realize how they can change their business. And that book's going to apply for, plumbers, electricians, financial advisors, just like I put in my 20-year vision. A small business owner will be able to pick up that book and read it, and the light bulb should go off for them, and it will have actionable steps for them. So that's it. And we travel, we're at these conferences. Like I said, we did 25 last year. So I'm visible, I do live trainings every week for free on top of that. And so I give and give and give back, and I'm very visible. I don't hide behind anything. And that's, like I said, one of my biggest goals is that if I see you at a conference, you want to meet me versus punch me in the face. So it's for me, customer service, customer value is very important. And I want people, and I love it because they'll come up and be like, hey man, what you have changed my business, changed my life. And that's the best thing you can hear.
Awesome, brother. I mean, I have no doubt you guys are going to continue to climb to the top and your overall vision, your 20-year vision will come true with this. And after listening to you with this too, I'm definitely going to check it out. I'm definitely going to buy your book too. So
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be buying that book too, because it is so important. You're giving so much value. I'm going to check out the website myself too, but people need to do that because a lot of people, they're like, oh, is it worth it? Is it worth spending the money? But like investing in yourself, that was one of the best things I personally did, is investing in personal development and learning and doing more, more and buying books and reading. It's just people need to do it, and what you're doing is just, it's huge, and people can get a jump start on things instead of having to go through everything you did prior, like you talked about at the beginning of this podcast. So I appreciate you for coming on today, man. This has been amazing. I could probably keep you on for another 2 hours because there's a lot in this head and and the listeners' head too. But where can they find and connect with you so they can learn more about you?
Yeah, if they want to sign up so they're notified whenever we do release the book, that's passiveprospecting.com. So that would be cool if you could do that. And then also you can find me on Instagram, at Levi Lascsak. No numbers or anything else. It's just my name. So there's a couple of fake accounts floating out around there. But yeah, just at Levi Lascsak. I teach a lot of YouTube on Instagram, ironically. But passive prospecting, you can find us on YouTube under passive prospecting and passiveprospecting.com. So those are the best options.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Awesome. Everybody, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, do what you got to do. 5-star reviews on Apple iTunes only, because that's what this show deserves. But anyway, appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you all on the next episode.